So how do you set up a workspace from home that is fully functional, yet not a constant reminder of work? I don't exactly know, but I'll show you what I've come up with so far. All right, so here's my workspace, a broad overview of what it looks like. And to give you a bit of background, I am in my bedroom. Yes, I do have my workspace in my bedroom. It is not ideal necessarily. However, the short version is my office got changed to a gym when the world shut down, and I still want it to remain a gym, so I'm not changing it back to an office. So here is where we currently are. Currently as in like few years. And it's working very well for me with a few caveats. And the first and most important is the fact that I like to clear it to make it not exactly look like a desk or a workspace when I'm not working. So this is officially Monday morning, which means over the weekend, well, before the weekend, I cleared everything off, all of the laptops and everything that makes it look more like a workspace, because honestly, form over function, like it's all about the aesthetics. I just don't want it to look like a desk in my bedroom. It is like a workspace vanity slash kind of area, and I do consider it my workspace, but it doesn't have to look like that when I'm not working. So I do clear everything off. I'll show you where I stash everything, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I set it up for the work week. So after trying a whole lot of things, after shifting and moving and seeing what I like and what I don't like, I finally do have a workspace that I am very happy with. Before this, I had a smaller desk, which you could see in one of my previous videos. It was like a vintage one that I got from a thrift store, and I was just using it as a desk slash vanity kind of area. So a very narrow type of table or desk, not a lot of storage space. So since then, I have opted to continue with a narrow kind of desk because I don't want it to eat into a lot of the floor space in here. Also, I don't want it to look too imposing on the room in general. So I switched out to a slim desk that does come with more storage. So it has more drawers in the desk. And I also opted to get a storage cabinet along with it so that I can store more things. So all of the items that I need to be a functional office workspace setup, I have it all here, and preferably all or mostly all behind closed doors so that I don't have to see it when it's not in use. All right, so giving you a close-up of the desk space, here we are. First things first, this chair is extremely comfortable. I did source it to make sure that I could have something that was height adjustable, something that was generally pretty looking, and something that coordinated well with what I have going on in the space. And it is like a sage green faux leather seat, which I do appreciate. It's very cushiony and very comfortable. It does move up and down. It does not recline. I don't require a chair to recline. Also, the chair does come with arms, but I was able to not install the arms because I prefer to have a chair in which I can just, like, you know, sit cross-legged or however. That is what is most comfortable for me. But most importantly too is that it's a pretty chair. Before we actually get zoomed in, let's start with the top of the desk. This is all actually very functional stuff. In here is like allergy medicine, petroleum jelly. We have some prescription medicines. This is actually stuff that I access, my husband accesses, my kids access. But I put it into this box so that it doesn't look ugly. Very important. And then here I do have some lotions, probably like more than needs to be on my desk, but I like to stay moisturized. And then I do have my water bottle, which when I do leave the house, I use for coffee because it is for hot and cold items. This is my coffee of the day, which you don't need to see. And then I might as well sit here while I tell you, and then I do have this votive holder. It currently has a fountain pen in it. It is not a pen holder, pen cup type thing, but I do keep a little battery operated candle in there to set the mood, set the vibes. I do have a candle here for when I decide to light it. The current one is gardenia. I switch these out depending on my mood because it's all about mood. And then I have this lamp here that I got from TJ Maxx, and I truly do love this lamp. I feel like whenever it's gloomy outside or I need a little bit of light and I don't want to turn on my large lamp over here on the right, I can turn this on and it sets the vibe. It does provide a good amount of light. So that's why I have that there. And then I'll take you around so you can see what's on this other side of the cabinet. So on this side of the desk space is a cabinet, like a storage kind of cabinet that does coordinate with the actual desk. And I will have everything linked down below of where I purchased the desk, the cabinet, and the everything. So you can look there if you're interested. But up top on the cabinet section, I do have my iPad. It doesn't always stay out. I know I said I put everything that looks like work away for the weekend, and this does fold down. It's one of those magnetic, if I can get it off, one of those magnetic iPad stands. So I do have that here, and it doesn't bother me so much, but a lot of the times I will fold it down and put it away, and I have my vitamins right behind there if you were wondering what that blue thing was. So that's that. And then I have a stapler, tape, and a little notepad that I do write down some notes here and there. And these containers, these metal containers, are from Target. But before I get to those, I guess, on top I have my Fuji Instax camera. I also have some pins that I put into this little jewelry tray that I found on Amazon. So inside of these containers, I have stamps. So it's things that are not very frequently used. So I have some letter stamps and some postage looking stamps in the top one. And then in the bottom, even more stamps and some pet tape samples. So that's what's all in these containers. And I like to have all of my stuff stashed away in a semi-organized fashion. And I say semi-organized because I generally will know where they are, but once you get inside of the actual containers, they may not be organized within the containers. The most important part is just that I cannot see through the containers. That looks very cluttery in my brain, so I don't like clear containers for the most part anywhere in life, but especially not my desk area. I think for me, the most important thing with creating this workspace that was also in my bedroom is that it can't look too cluttery to the eye. I would actually like to pare down this space over here on top of this cabinet, and I may, because it's bordering on too much, but we'll see how that evolves over time. On the wall here, and I will provide different views so you can see, but on the wall here, this is a washi tape holder that I got from Michael's. I believe it's intended to go on the side of one of those rolling carts. That's what this is here, and I do keep all of my washi tapes that I use most frequently so that they are within arm's reach. And also on the desk, I have this, so I have this timer that is helpful when you want to stay focused on specific tasks, additional washi tapes. And then this marble kind of mother of pearl type of box here. This was a gift from my mother-in-law, but inside I keep, again, things that I don't need to access all the time. So it's refills for my cameras. So refill film for this Instax and film for my Canon selfie. I also keep label makers inside of there, along with the refill tapes for the label makers. Right on top of that box, I have a metal box from Toyo. So it's a Toyo Still T360. That is what I believe the numbers are. It's larger than the typical ones that you see. I had to get it on eBay from Japan because I couldn't find it here in the States, and I couldn't find it in this color. So that's what that is. Toyo Steel box, a T360. I want to say it's maybe like 10 by 14 inches. I'm not exactly sure, but I have all of my planners in there. So these are my planners that I use or that I rotate through regularly. So my reading journal, my companion planner, I have my work / everyday carry planner right on top of there, along with additional inserts, as well as some Travelers Company covers that I'm not currently using, and my ink sample notebook. So those are things that I like to have open, accessible, easy for me to grab, especially as I'm sitting here at my desk. I can just reach over and grab those. And then towards the end, you may be able to see that white thing. That is my Silhouette Portrait 3. So that's similar to like a Cricut or any of those paper cutting type items, but it's the smaller version. I don't use it as often as I wish I did, and I think maybe I'm gonna start using it more often, but that stays right over there tucked away on the side. And just above that is my lamp. That one is from Target, I believe, and I liked it because it has like an overhanging kind of arm, so it's squeezed over there in the corner, but the lamp portion does come over the desk. All right, so that covers everything that is on top of the desk / cabinet, and now I will show you what is inside. Starting with the drawer over here on the left, there is some level of organized chaos, as I admitted to earlier. So things don't look super organized and super pretty inside. I do know where everything is and it works for me. But I do have these containers that I got from Amazon. They are stackable, which is why I like them. They are not clear, also why I like them. I feel like that would have looked a little bit too cluttery for me. I don't know. But I have these in here kind of like a jigsaw of the different configurations that I would need to hold all of my most used items. Over here I have Post-it notes or sticky notes, and then here I have some glue items, some staples, and then over here some larger paper clips and ollie clips. And you'll notice strewn throughout the entire drawer, I also have a number of lip products because one can never be too prepared. I have this calendar stamp here, primarily because it's newer and I just didn't put it with my other stamps, but I will likely move that over to one of those metal containers that I talked about. Over here on the left, I do have an external hard drive and other cables that I might need. I have some headphones, a mouse that I don't really use, but just in case I might need it, and then my corner punch and more paper clips. And in the middle I have my heavy duty scissors along with a few other items. So a metal clip, a little storage bag, my dip pens, and then right next to there I have refills for pens and pencils, as well as some ink supplies. So additional like ink cartridges for fountain pens. The same thing right behind there. I can't, well, if I move that, then you can see the same stuff right behind there. And then right over here in this container is just some additional Post-it notes and page flags that I use here and there. So that is the left drawer. And then moving over to the drawer on the right, this one has a lot of my, I guess, writing utensils. So this has all of my writing utensils that I use most frequently. So pens and everything. And I have this one in this really cool container. And I saw this on the Planning Professors on Instagram, her Instagram page or post that she put up, and these are actually for sunglasses. I believe that's how they're marketed. I'll show you another one that's not so full, but they do have dividers inside, and I do have pens, mild liners, markers in there that I use often, along with some additional paper clips, rubber bands. This middle one here holds all of my inks, and then I just have some random page flags there, along with some additional page flags that I really need to use up. And all of my Tombow markers are in this large tray as well. So it's easy for me to grab a color that I'm looking for based on, you know, what the cap looks like. I also don't like to keep my Tombow markers standing up because I noticed that they do dry out when you keep the tips pointed up. And then I have to lay it down for a while in order for the ink to go back to the tip. So that's why I like to have them laid down. So that is what is in the drawer. So the things that I need accessible if I'm planning, if I'm working, whatever I'm doing at my actual desk. All right, so moving over to my cabinet first, I guess before we get to the insides, I'll tell you that this bottom shelf holds some of my pouches and things. Some of these are filled, so I know what's in each pouch specifically. Like some has things for standard traveler's notebook supplies, one has for passport, and then one has a few stickers and sticker books that I have in there. So those are all stored over here on this bottom shelf on the left. And then right next to that is the acrylic tray that I use when I set up my laptop, which I'll show you once we set this whole baby up for the work week. But on these shelves, I also do have like my iPad case and a few random items that I should probably store elsewhere. All right, so getting into the actual cabinet. And I will admit that this, again, is a bit of organized chaos. Because I'm still working through exactly how I want to use all of these spaces. So because I kind of stashed everything from the last desk setup into here and didn't fully organize things until I was using it for a while, I've come to realize that I do have all of my fountain pen boxes and covers over here. So from about halfway all the way over to the end, that's all like fountain pen cases, also traveler's notebook, packaging type items. I can store those someplace else. So that is what I'm going to do, because I believe that I want to store like my iPad and my MacBook and any of those things here. But what I'm looking for is something like a shelf that I can put in here. And I'm envisioning like an acrylic shelf. It has mini shelves, or if you can think of like a paper sorter, one of those things that has levels, and I'll just slide like my MacBook onto one level, slide my iPad onto another level, and then close this door and we're all done. So that is what I'm going to do over here on this side. I'll put all of this stuff in storage and use this section for that. But I did want to show you these cable clips. So this is what I'm using to manage cables over here in this area. And I do have like one of these clipped onto the back of my desk. And then I just run the charger cables up through the back for both my MacBook and my iPad so that they are out of view when I'm not using it. So that's what I'm using this for. And of course I found them on Amazon, which is where you always find little random things like that. So that's what I'm using these for. And then I have over here, so I have a box of supplies that go with the silhouette portrait. So that's here. And then 2 ink bottles that I had used recently to refill some things. I keep my Diatramentus document ink out because I use this frequently, instead of packing it away in my ink spot, which I'll show you in a moment. And then I have this container here, which I also got from Amazon, and I have these in a few different sizes. So along with that eyeglass one that I showed you, I have another one of those, but I'm using these. They're long and they fit the length of this whole cabinet, and they're also stackable. But for instance, I'm using this one for cables, so charger cords and other tools that I might need. And then in this one here, I have like a hole punch. I have my suede cleaning brush that I use for my planner. And then right on top of this box, I'm not even sure if you can see, I have some Happy Planner sticker books that I use here and there. So that's what's on that top shelf. On the second shelf, I have more of the stackable containers. Now, this is where it gets a little messy. So this top one is the one that I take out often. And I say it's messy because I've just put some snacks up here that I recently purchased and I didn't quite put them away. I like to have snacks at my desk area. Nothing wrong with that. So anyway, this first one is the one that I actually, and another stapler that I don't need. But this first one is the one that I actually pull out while I'm working, and I'll sit it right here. And it usually contains a few extra pins, And then when I store it away, my mouse does go into here and just sits right up top. Oh, also, I keep my phone stand in here. So clearly I like things that are foldable and collapsible so that I can put them away easily and that they don't take up a whole lot of space. So this is what usually goes right there when I'm packing up for the week. Again, I have some snacks here. And then these also go here. And then these are just 2 extra containers that I haven't found a use for quite yet. It's just a pencil case with extra whiteout and extra elastic bands. Oh, and I will take this out to show you. So, let's start from this end. So this is just a file folder that I have of some documents and papers that I just should have on hand. And I have another of those long storage bins, but these are deeper. So they hold a lot more stuff. And I have some refills for my glue runner. I also have some more sticky notes in there. Just some random items. Same thing for this one. Oh, this is more like tools. So I have a glue stick, I have some glue, I have some tape. So they're kind of organized, generally speaking. Like I know where to look for these types of items. So that's what I have there. And then we get into where my inks are. But before that, so this is another one of those eyeglasses cases. And you can more clearly see the dividers here. So I do have some like gel pens and some other markers that I don't often use. And then here is a case. I believe I showed this in my companion planner video. So when I have additional inserts that I've printed and cut, I leave them in this little expandable file folder thingy so I can go back to. And then here I have another container, and this one was made for tea, I believe. This one was made to hold tea, but I'm using it obviously to hold fountain pen inks. So I have a bunch of samples over here and then some bottles there. And I have another one to hold more inks. Another one of those file folder things. This one is actually empty. And then I have some smaller containers. So they're about half the size of this one. And I have additional inks in here. And I have 2 of those also with inks. And they're all stacked back there. And then right next to that, I have a box that I repurposed to hold most of my stamps. So here's some of the larger ones that don't fit into the box, and I just slide them on the side. But here's where I'm holding all of my stamps. A lot of these are from Everyday Explorers Co. And when I'm in the mood to stamp in my planner or wherever, I will just reach in here. I can reach it from my desk, reach in here and pick out the stamp that I need. And here is yet again one of those other things. I think I was giving this to a friend. I don't know. We'll see. So then that is how all of this stuff fits in here. I feel like it's like a jigsaw puzzle, kind of. But again, I'll say it for the umpteenth time. It is sort of like organized chaos. I know generally speaking where everything is, where everything fits, where to reach for certain items that I'm looking for, and it works. So I think, like I said, the next upgrade or the next improvement I will make upon like how I have this whole setup. Let me put this. So the next improvement I will make with this entire setup is to take this stuff away, get some kind of file stacking shelf or paper stacking shelf. I'm going to figure out what the name of that is. I can envision it. I just don't know exactly what it's called. And use that to tuck away my iPad and my MacBook and whatever else is flat that I can just lay in there when not in use. All right, now I'm going to set up for my work week. So like I said, getting set up for the work week isn't super involved, doesn't take a whole lot. I think the fact that it's simple is the reason why it works for me. It's very flexible, very easy to just switch out and set up for working. So the first thing I do is pull out that acrylic shelf that I mentioned that was down underneath the cabinet over on the right. And this is where I set up my laptop. And then I also have on that shelf my keyboard. A lot of times these lotions aren't here, but today they're here. So I take that shelf out. I have out my keyboard, and then this little container that I mentioned before. I have my mouse in there, so we turn it on, and then my MacBook goes right up here. And this is where I would get set up for working and get ready. And then also I like to set up my stand for my phone. And I will put this right there. Where is my phone? Put that right there. And this is pretty much how I get set up and ready for the workday. And it's easy peasy at the end of the week. Fridays, sometimes Thursdays, if I'm feeling cheeky, you know, I'll close up my work week. Then it's kind of like refreshed and I'm not looking at work. So that is my simple, I think, setup for a flexible workspace from home. It works for me. I actually really love it. And like I said, honestly, form over function. I like that it's really pretty. I like that it works, but it first had to be really pretty so that it wouldn't bug me that it was actually inside of or within my living space, that I like to be very pretty and peaceful and calm. Again, I'll have everything that I've shown or mentioned linked down below, either in my Amazon storefront or on my Like to Know page. I'll have those links for you below. Some of those might be affiliate links, so please be aware of that every time you order through those links, it will give me a small percentage of commission for you clicking on that link. And if there's anything not linked below, just shoot me a question and I'll get right back to you. Or if you have any questions about anything else, let me know down in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.